Hello, welcome to Box Board. Today we're going to look at Star Trek Adventures, the Operations Division Supplemental Rulebook. Now from the get-go, we have got the normal production values that we would expect from this company. Really good, nice Elcar theme to it, and it is kind of awesome. And you know, some brilliant artwork as you would expect. And I'm just going to flick through to the introduction and pick out what the different bits are, because actually rather helpfully this tells you what the different sections do. So Operations Division basically provides an expanded look at the Operations Division, particularly various agencies within the fleet that provide security and engineering. Kind of cool. Goes into quite a lot of depth and detail, and we'll have a flick at that in a minute. Then we've got a bit about, so there's other bits that, there's a lot of snippets that are quite useful in that. Operations Division characters. This provides players with additional options for creating Operations Division characters, expanding on the character creation rules in the rulebook, and there's also additional life path options and career enhancements, which is kind of cool. Then we've got advanced technology, which I think is a really nice little unit in the book. This chapter expands on the equipment in the core rulebook and includes game stats on advanced personal weaponry, engineering tools and other specialized devices, which is lovely. GMs will be advised to on how to employ technology as a narrative element of campaigns. Really important. Cool. Then we've got using the Operations Division, and basically this advises GMs on how best to utilise and spotlight engineering and security player characters in their campaigns. In addition, the sorts of mission-based storylines that typically focus on the Operations Division departments are discussed to aid GMs in developing campaigns, which I think is really important, really cool. Then we've got Operations Personnel, which is Operations Personnel, which is basically aimed at the GM, I think. So it's full descriptors and game stats of a variety of engineering and security focused NPCs. And then we've got Red Alert, which is provides new rules for Star Trek Adventure combat encounters, simplified for larger conflicts within the Star Trek Adventures 32-minute scale miniatures. As an alternative mode of play, it provides rules for GMs wishing to create tense, large-scale fight sequences without slowing gameplay down. And that is kind of an overview, so let's have a look very quickly. Operations Division, this bit, got a bit about Fleet Division, Starfleet Intelligence, and Starfleet Corps of Engineers, and Section 31. Really interesting from a player point of view, because you get some really nice sort of background. The nice thing about Star Trek is you've got such a deep amount of fluff behind it, and such a well created world. There's some bits in there about how different organisations can influence the game as well. Particularly to me, one of the bits I really enjoyed, because it's so different, is Section 31. The bit on Section 31, which appear in a few different places in the series, and I think, unless I'm badly mistaken, I think it's Malcolm who actually is involved at one point in Enterprise, and there's some really interesting bits in there, so I find that quite cool. It's very different to your typical Starfleet stuff, which is kind of interesting. There's also a bit about temporal investigations interviews, so that was quite a nice little snippet out. In terms of division characters, there's really some interesting options that are given to you. So the first thing is, one of the most useful things for this GM was actually this little bit, which tells you when Starfleet is when they're in conflict, open conflict, which is quite interesting and helps you to start to plan what year maybe you want to play a particular campaign in, which is quite nice. Then there's a bit about, there's quite a lot here about background for the characters, but also quite a lot of rules that are extra, so some tactical rules that you can use, which are quite nice and quite interesting. There's a bit about how to play, about playing security campaigns. Really interesting. One of the things that they did in the previous book for Command, which I thought was quite good, was to give you what the different scores, what that kind of represents, and then how security works with other disciplines, which I found quite interesting. You get some extra focuses with security in the book, which is pretty good and can come into play. And you've also got some security talents which are interesting, and are actually mixed between bridge and away team stuff. So some pretty good ones actually in there that you could use for different characters in different ways, which is quite nice. Engineering, similar format. There's a bit about how operations works. Eras matters in engineering quite a lot, and it's there. You've got the overview how to create a character, and then a little bit about what engineers, what the different scores mean. Nice little call out box is the bit on Technobabble. It's kind of awesome. It involves dice roll, and you can just generate absolutely fantastic sounding rubbish that you can use in game, which is great. It's one of the characteristics of Star Trek is that sort of use of Technobabble, which I really like. We also have a bit about how they interact with other disciplines. A lot of focus is for engineering, as you would expect, because it's a very specialised sort of field, so you can really get to go to town on that. And some quite useful new engineering talents as well, which is really good, which I kind of quite like. And some of them stand out, like some really stand out. I'm not going to go into it. It's up to you to have a look. Advanced technology is obviously going to be an important one here, because engineers use technological devices a lot, and that's what they're about. So it's actually really useful having this section that gives them some extra tools and some extra ideas, and really fleshes out that section, the core book. I like this. It's not big, but it is very nice to have it. Then there's a bit of Starship Systems, which again fleshes out a lot of the stuff that they're going to be talking about and using. So it's good. I mean, because one of the challenges for engineers in a role-playing game is that they can often just be the guy who just rolls the dice and he fixes some stuff, and that's not really the flavour. And effectively what can happen is they just become a security guy who fixes stuff if you're not careful. This, I think, moves them to being much more of an engineer. And actually, I think this supplement really does that very well. So then we get a bit about experimental engineering and some bits and pieces there, which are quite nice. Next section, we get a bit about using operations division, and this is really aimed at GMs and how to integrate themed storylines into your campaign that and lots and lots of ideas basically, which is really, really good. And I like this bit, and I really like the bit about criminal investigation. I thought that was quite nice and quite, gives another flavour and another bit. A little bit of unarmed combat, as you can see, for security. Then we get a bit about engineering, how to integrate engineering in, and some really nice little bits. And one of the things I'm going to mention was they've got some bits that, like little boxes that come out, are actually quite important. So you've got a bit about, these are episodes you might want to look at if you want to build an engineering themed scenario. These are episodes that are really built around that. Then there's a bit about working with the science department, which is quite nice and kind of cool, because it lets you see how you can bring people in together in your party. Derelict recovery, bit about that, which I found quite interesting. Bit about alien technologies and how to use them, so it's not just I roll the dice and it becomes that. And then a bit of damage control. So actually, the operations bit is really fleshed out. Has really fleshed out engineering, which I think is good, because I think it's such an important part of Star Trek. Actually, is that technology aspect, and I think they do a great job. Then we have a whole set of NPCs. Not maybe as many as I would like, but that's because I'm lazy. Lots of different people that you can use and sort of supporting characters and things, which is quite nice. Yeah, and then Red Alert, which is is the combat rules. Now these are okay; they're pretty good. They're good for a role-playing game, and it's good that they've included them. They did them in beta, and they work well. Don't come at this thinking you're going to get a tabletop game out of it as well, because it's not. But what it is something that will support the RPG and let you do things that let you integrate your combat more. So I'm coming from a tabletop background, and I have to admit, I went, yeah, they're all right. They're okay. They're pretty good. They're good for. They don't irritate me, which is, to be honest, as a tabletop minis player, that's brilliant. In an RPG, a lot of the time combat rules can be a bit too simplistic, I think they're okay. They're pretty good, and they certainly won't break the flow of the game, but they'll give you a bit more depth, which is what you want. So overall, is it worth it? Personally, I would say yes, especially if you're a GM, because that bit where you get how to integrate more storylines in, and there's some fantastic bits about how to, just really get you thinking more creatively about your campaigns, which is kind of nice. Some very, very useful tools for a GM in there. As a player, I think it's pretty good. I think there's some interesting fluff, some good fluff. Does it sit well against command? Yes, I think it does. It would, in some respects, actually, I think that it doesn't have the wow factor because Red Alert came out in beta, but it should have the wow factor because actually with Red Alert, if Red Alert hadn't been out in beta and people have been using it to try it out, I think people would have went, wow, okay, this is kind of awesome. But then it wouldn't maybe have been as tight if it hadn't been so widely beated. So yeah, I think it's well worth it, and a really good addition. Now, we do a lot of Star Trek Adventures. We've got a lot of Star Trek Adventures material on the website, or on the, not on the website, on the channel. If you don't want to miss any of our new stuff, as we look forward to the Science Division and it coming out, and other bits and pieces that will appear, subscribe. And we do cover a few other RPGs and quite a lot of tabletop. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't want to miss stuff, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, and have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.